Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our doctoral webinars here at Aspen University. We have a very special guest this week. He's also the Dean of the School of Business and Technology, so he oversees the doctoral programs there, and it's Dr. Daniel Zimmerman. So he not only teaches as well, which I just mentioned at the beginning, but he also is overseeing the quality in those programs, and he can see as well how curriculum is developed and so forth. So he gets to look at sort of your journey as a doctoral student, and he's been through that journey, by the way. He is Dr. Daniel Zimmerman. So he knows exactly what you're going through, and his focus today is on this strategy, this approach, this philosophy, he's calling it, to make sure that you can use this strategy as you go forth in your doctoral program. And it is an effective strategy. I've used it before. He and I were chatting before the recording, and I was mentioning how essential in your mentality this philosophy needs to be that he's going to describe today. So Dr. Z, I'll just get out of the way and let you take over.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Dr. Thrasher. Again, my name is Dr. Daniel Zimmerman. I'm the dean here for Aspen School of Business and Technology. Some of you I met over the week, right? On Saturday morning. So it's great to see you again. Some of you I've actually taught here at Aspen in some of the RSH classes. Some of you I'm meeting for the first time, and it's great to meet you. Um, but let's get started here. I want to the way that I'm going to approach it is I like to have fun, okay, with my webinars. For those who were here on that Saturday, you probably heard me talking about this philosophy just a little bit, right? A little teaser, as well with the philosophy of KISS. And what does KISS stand for? KISS stands for K-I-S-S. Keep it simple, scholar, right? We're not going to put that other word on there, but what we're going to do is we're going to look at how the culmination of where this philosophy came from, right? So we're going to get a little bit of a history. But first, I want to start off and tell you a little bit about my journey, right? My journey through the doctoral program and why this is such an important philosophy. Okay. So here we have a picture on the left. That is my doctoral cohort from Colorado Technical University back when I was going through my doctorate at my very first residency. Okay. This isn't everybody in the cohort. It's just in the ODC management cohort. And this is about maybe 30%. But I'm going to tell you the other 70% didn't graduate. They didn't finish the program. And many of these did not finish either. But let me tell you a little bit about my story here. So, let's say I went to Colorado Technical University, and one of the requirements for the university was the fact that you needed to take a residency. And residency is very important because it's an opportunity for you to network and meet with your instructors, meet with your chairs. And we're working on that here at Aspen, and implementing it slowly but surely. And I think it's coming out pretty nicely. But some of these more established schools, you come and you meet, you have to fly out. I had to fly out to Colorado in Denver, get to spend the night. It's all on my dime, and you get to meet with your instructors, go through different seminars, go to different workshops. But the first time you go to your residency, you're a little overwhelmed. But before you go to your residency, you've taken some courses, right? You've probably taken, you've taken a couple RSH courses. For you who are EDD, you've taken some leadership and theory courses. For some of the nursing, you've probably taken some of the medical courses. And in the DSCS, you've taken a couple technology courses and discrete mathematics, right? So you have some ideas and you've been reading about these theorists and you've been reading about all these models, and there's so much awesome information. You're reading articles and you're just going bananas over all this information, and it's very exciting. And for me, it was leadership, it was consulting, and it was management and OD. And all these different theories just were culminating in my head, and I started going out and buying books and looking at research papers and looking at dissertations, and my mind was going a million miles a minute, right? And then so at this particular residency, first time, right? You go and you eat dinner 3 days, right? So you eat your breakfast, you eat your lunch, you eat your dinner, and faculty are spread out throughout each table. They're assigned a certain table, so you have someone to talk to, you have someone to bounce ideas off of. Kind of, they're there to engage you, right? You might not be in any of their classes, but you're there to engage. They're there to engage you, and what they do is they ask you, well, what are you looking to study? And being the first time, me going in and thinking about the topics, I'm like, well, I want to study leadership and appreciative inquiry and organizational development, and I want to do it, through the eastern border of the United States, and I'm all like, I am like huge, like huge and broad, and so many different ideas running through my head. Oh, I want to do consulting. I want to do this, and it just keeps going and going and going. And then of course, I also wanted to do mixed methods because mixed methods, the methodology is both quantitative and qualitative, but it made sense, right? You can go and do and get your data from your questionnaire, or go and do the data from the quantitative, and then you get to figure out how to implement and what people want to see through the qualitative. And you're like, oh, that makes so much sense. Yes. All right, we're gonna get this rolling. And I'm set. I have it ready to go. I'm ready to go. And these instructors are like, okay, well, no, that's way too broad. What are you looking to do? And I'm like, oh my God, they're too much, too much. I gotta, narrow it down. And so my thought process was, and so they would give you some ideas, and it's the first residency out of three, and it's in the beginning of your program. So the biggest thing that they told me was, you need to keep reading, you need to keep exploring, you need to keep observing, and no mixed methods. Okay, so I was like, all right, because the structure of their program is the same as ours. Okay, it's a finite amount of time. It's not a PhD where you get 8 years. You have to take certain classes, and you get 16 weeks to take certain classes, and you have to finish it within that 16 weeks. So mixed methods, no way, right? Let's forward a year, and we're at my next residency, and this is 2015, and it's the same thing, much of the same thing. You reunite with your peers, and you're sitting around dinner, eating and talking with people. But this time, I'm not the newbie, right? I'm not the person that doesn't know what's going on, and I'm sitting there and I'm like listening to people, and I'm asking them, like, well, what's your topic, right? I'm a veteran, and they're like talking to me about having all these large ideas and how they want to save the world, and I'm like, no, you can't do it, so now I'm like giving them advice of what I heard back in the day, plus I have another year under my belt from working in different research classes. But you know I was like, it's too big, it's too big, and how are you going to do the study? What you know what have you read? What kind of topic? I just started asking all these different deductive questions. And then I realized, I'm like, okay, it makes sense. That may, the advice that I got, it's been building into my brain. And in essence, my favorite advice that I ever got from one of my peers and mentors, um, was, you need to stay on the yellow brick road. Okay. You will walk down the yellow brick road. You will go to, you're on your way to Oz, and you got to follow. There'll be ebb and flow. It'll be taught, it'll be curves. There'll be uphills, down, and there'll be all kinds of things getting in your way. You might see something shiny off to the left, something shiny to the right. And you'll be like, oh my gosh, I got to go get that. I got to go get it. No, you need to stay disciplined and stay on the road. Once you get the odds and you complete your degree, then you can go back to those shiny things and actually start researching those and collect them. But we have one task, and that is to get down the yellow brick road, and we need to get the odds and complete our degree. Okay. So the picture on the left was a cohort of people that I started with. The picture on the right, there's me with the two fingers. That was a long time ago, and 5 other people out of 120 people. 5 people graduated, and it's because stay on that yellow brick road. All right. They just got all confused and discouraged and everything. So what we're going to be talking about here is I don't want you to get off of that yellow brick road. Okay. And we're going to learn about keeping it simple, scholars. Okay. So again, keep it simple is extremely significant. It's not dumbing the information down. It's not, making it any less relevant. We're adding to the body of knowledge. Okay. We're making our contribution. And the most important thing is that you are the subject matter expert of that topic. There is no one else in the world that knows it as much as you do at that given moment. Isn't that powerful? That's awesome. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna keep it simple, and we're gonna be talking about choosing your dissertation topic. Now, if you already have your dissertation topic, that's okay. That's fine. We can always, use this definition to really define, start working on your chapter one or whatnot. But a majority of you in here probably have not started your dissertation topic or thesis yet. And so what I have here on the screen is a picture of just chaos, right? It's organized chaos, but it's just so much information, right? And that's what probably a lot of you are going through. You have a lot of different information, a lot of different ideas, a lot of people in your ear saying, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that, you should look at this. You're reading stuff, you're jotting stuff down. You're like, oh, it's awesome. That's going to be really cool. I should follow this, and you're continually just getting lost in the literature. And that can be a big problem because you're not staying on that yellow brick road and you're not keeping it simple. Okay. So what is K.I.S.S? And I kind of already went through it, but we're going to get more into where it came from. And it is not a kiss, right? We're not kissing the monkey. That was more of a joke, right? Just something funny. Um, and I like that picture. I thought it was a cool picture. But we're not kissing the monkey. But what we're going to talk a little bit about here is, what does K.I.S.S mean? And it was originally created in the United States Navy. And the original meaning is keep it simple, stupid. Okay. But we don't use that here. We're calling your scholars. And so we're going to utilize it in that capacity. But it was created in 1960 from Kelly Johnson, who was the lead engineer at Lockheed Martin Skunk Works. Okay. And so if we go and you're like, oh my gosh, what's Skunk Works? Well, who are Skunk Works, right? Skunk Works is an industry leader in rapid prototyping, pushing the boundaries of what's possible to quickly design, develop, and innovate solutions. Okay, so they are an innovative R&D group. Okay, the concept of K.I.S.S is really behind what the thought process is, that most systems work best when they are kept simple rather than complicated, right? Simplicity should be the key goal in design, and avoid unnecessary complexity. So if the United States Navy is employing this, if Lockheed Martin, one of the largest engineering corporations in the world, is employing this type of methodology, I think it's pretty important, right? It's something that we should probably think about how we deploy, especially in something as big, and there's a stigma behind a dissertation, right? Where it has to be this huge monster and it's going to be so hard and it's going to freak people out. And it doesn't have to be. Okay. We need to keep it simple. All right. So Kelly, who is the U.S. Navy Kelly Johnson from 1960, came up with 14 rules for the skunk work. And I just put the first four rules on here, and they don't necessarily align too much with dissertation writing, but I wanted just to provide the holistic overview of what the skunk works were. And if you ever wanted to go online and look to see what the um, 14 rules are, you can. But I mean, there's some correlation here. They do have some parallelism. Like skunk works manager must delegate, be must be delegated practical control of his program in all aspects. He should report to the division president or higher. Again, that's kind of like your dissertation, might be your dissertation chair or your committee. Strong but small project offices must be provided both by the military and industry. All right, not necessarily, we're not looking at offices, but we're providing you a small chunk to work on your dissertation. You're not going to sit down and write a whole chapter one in one night, right? We're going to break it down and help you, develop over that time. And then number four, I'm not going to read the last two here, but you can look it up if you do want to do that later on down the line. Now, simplicity is the same as, K.I.S.S, and simplicity has its own benefits. And again, like I said, there's a stigma behind writing a dissertation. People have anxiety when they hear dissertation. People like start sweating bullets, right? They think that it's going to be like this monster project, and and I'm not gonna say that it's not a big project and that you're gonna have to work hard, but there's ways to do it, and there's ways in order that you can do it and be extremely successful and simple, and you can do it in a nice rhythmic fashion. Simplicity has its own benefits, right? So simple product or design is easy to maintain. We can scale it as required later. Why is the scaling part important? So as you get through chapter 5 and you finish your dissertation, guess what you can do? You can continue your research. You can continue to go on and to save the world. You're opening the door, for continued research, which is pretty nice. You don't have to have that huge universal topic right off the bat. You can do a little piece of it and then you can scale it out later on. And you can actually, your whole life work can be based on your dissertation topic, and you can just continue to add research after research after research after research on that topic and then expand it as needed. You are laying the groundwork for something phenomenal, right? It's easy to detect failure and find resolution if we have a simple design. If you're doing a mixed methods and you mess up some stats, you have to go through it and figure it out. Then you have to, reanalyze the information, and then you have to correlate it with your your qualitative information and your interviews, and it can be a disaster, right? I mean, it would take you forever. In this instance, if we keep it simple, we have one research topic, one research question, maybe a couple sub research questions, very simplistic to the point. We can find any we can detect any errors or any issues within the study, and it's an easy correct. Okay. Simple code is easy to debug, and avoiding unnecessary gold plating when necessary. All right. So we're not adding anything. And of course, as you continue to move through your dissertation courses, we're not going to be, we're not going to have bias, right? Everything's to be factual based on data. And we're not going to be adding anything to it that's unnecessary. For me, if you ever listen to me talk, specific, concise, what it needs to be. Specific, concise, get rid of the fluff. Scholarly writing. So the dissertation, okay? Now, if you look at this picture, this was me, right? We offer reference works. We offer a lot of different programs to help. And Note, I believe, is one of them that help organize your dissertation information. It did not do that. I had stacks and stacks of articles. But what saved me was annotated bibliography, and I can go off on that. I go on another tangent with that, but what we're doing is we're staying on the yellow brick road. So, but this is me. So I don't want you to think that if you have packs, packs of papers everywhere, if I don't want you to think that that's uncommon. Okay, that's if you can keep it organized, that's the way to do it. I think personally. So we're going to talk a little bit about choosing your topic, okay, and keeping it simple, right? So there's an actual book out there if you want to go on to Amazon. It's called Keep It Simple Scholar, okay, and the author is Julie Konzelman, and she talks a little bit about how can you select a topic, that's not simplistic. It is simplistic, but also has meaning and relevancy. Okay, we're kind of we're kind of playing that fence, right? So choosing a topic can be easy. It can be as easy as brushing your teeth. Many of you probably already know what your topic is. Okay, and that's fine. And we can sit down and we can refine it. And for some of you, it might really be a struggle. You're like, oh my gosh, again, you'll be freaking out. You have all these ideas. So what you need to do is you need to sit down and think, what is important to you? Write this down. What is important to the future of your profession, of your topic, of your organization? Where do you see yourself, right? What is important to individuals around you and their future? What makes that topic align with your degree program and or personal ideals? That's a big thing too, right? You want to make sure that it's consistent with your degree program. If you're doing DSCS, it needs to be relevant to the computer science industry. If you're doing EDD, it needs to be consistent and relevant to education based on whatever specialization you are working within. But there has to be that underlying element of education. All right. And then the DMP, you have your project. So please and then be sure your research topic will be of interest several years into the future. And why do you want that? You want that because you want to continue your research down the line. And then Kevin, can you provide can you mute this?
What was that?
Can you mute everyone again?
Yep, I just took care of that.
Okay. So where do you find these resources? And one of the things that we talked about on Saturday was where do you find the resources? And people they know that they need to go to the library, right? The library here at Aspen University is absolutely fantastic. We have we have state-of-the-art library. We have some of the best librarians you will ever find that are responsive and they will help you. I mean, I want to be a librarian now just from watching them work, right? I go there all the time. But, and if you have topic questions, they can help you figure that out. So, but where do you find these resources? You go to the Aspen Library, okay? But you want to read journal articles within your industry. All right. If you haven't started reading it and you're in a doctoral program and you don't have articles under your belt, even if you're in your first class, you need to get going right now. All right. One of the keys that we have in our residency one, which all DSCS and EDD students are required to take, is you should probably have around 75 articles by the time you're done with your third class. A key component of where to find information, read dissertations that are similar to your topic that are within the last 5 years. That's a gold mine. I read dissertations for fun. And I'm a nerd, but I'm not that big of a nerd. But they're so exciting and they're so relevant, and there's so many different types of research ideas and topics, and it's like an action novel, right? But for you, if you're looking for a topic, guess what? They tell you all the topics for additional research needed at the end of the dissertation. So you find a topic that you like, you go to the end, you see what kind of research that they're asking for, and you might have a topic right there. And guess what? They have most of the stuff already done for you, right? They have all the articles there for you that you need to read, you need to find, you need to do additional, but there's a lot of different a lot of the forework already completed for you. You can attend some seminars and workshops on your topic. All right. Find an association that you belong to, within your area. Management would be Academy of Management. Education. I don't know what education is. I'm sorry. I should have known that. But you know, uh, every discipline has their own type of uh, organization, and they have journals, they have webinars, they have all kinds of information, and you never know, something might spark your interest, and you're like, I want to study that. That is great. Okay, it's called exposure. All right, and now talk with your peers and scholars in the field. All right, talk with your organization, talk with your leaders, talk with friends within these organizations. You never know, they might say something, and boom, you're like, that's awesome. Tell me more. And next thing you know, you have your topic. Okay. All right. So now that you don't, now you have your topic, and I've said this before, is you don't have to save the world, right? We're keeping it simple. All right. We're staying on the yellow brick road, but we don't need to be saving the world. And a lot of people think, oh, again, it comes back to that stigma of getting your dissertation, right? You think there has to be this big monster 400-page research project, and you have to, I mean, it has to be, I don't even know, right? But people think they need to save the world. And what I love is when I sit down and talk with people, they give me their topic and we can break it down to about 1/100th of what their topic is to something that's manageable. And then that gives them 99 out of 100 areas to be able to go off and do some research after they have finished their dissertation. After you have the doctor in your name, that's when you start making your money, right? You're not making money now, you're paying money to get your doctorate. So we want to keep it simple for you. You want to keep you on the path, and we want to make sure that you are following the process. Okay, we want to make sure that you are understanding the process. So using the KISS method, is your topic simple enough and narrow enough for your study? If this wasn't a webinar, I would be asking, what are your topics, right? So remember, this is a school project, okay? This is your school project. So let's get through this process so that you can get paid for saving that world, like I just stated. Can you continue your research on the topic later at recommendation? So there's going to be a lot of different avenues you can look at afterwards, but we want to keep it simple. Keep it simple, scholar, right? Will you be able to understand the results and make the relevant discussions based on them? So you don't want to overcomplicate your findings. There was a dissertation that I saw that was 600 pages long. I didn't want to read it, right? Because it was way too long. And B, it didn't make any sense. It wasn't relevant, but they had charts and graphs. And I mean, it wasn't very well written. It wasn't part of Aspen, but it was 600 pages. I had to see it. I was like, oh my God. Right. But does it make sense? It doesn't make sense to you, but the big thing here, the question you wanted is, does it make sense to your audience? Who's going to be reading them? Right? We can put all this awesome language and all this academia and scholarly writing and fancy verbiage in there. If no one's going to read it and understand it, it's worthless, right? We are trying to move the body of knowledge forward. Okay. We want people to read our work. And are you keeping the topic specific and concise? Again, my term, topic specific and concise. Is it realistic? You know, you only have a finite amount of time. And this is a real interviewing in the city of Detroit is not an option. I had someone who was looking at gentrification at another time. They wanted to send out a whole questionnaire to the city of Detroit. You know how many people are in the city of Detroit? There is no way. And this is what they wanted to do. No, 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 no. No, so we managed it down to, a certain block uh of people. But I mean, that's part of saving the world. And if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough, right? One of the big things that Dr. Ballard likes to talk about is providing an elevator speech. You should be able to tell us what your topic is in an elevator speech, 30 seconds. What is your topic? What I tell people is when you get your topic and when you get your purpose statement, write it on a index card or one of those flip note things. Stick it on your computer, read it every day. That will help you stay on the yellow brick road as you're working through your paper and working through your project. Subject matter expert. You are the subject matter expert, right? How cool is that? When you finish your dissertation, you defend and you submit for publication, you are the only person in the world that is the subject matter expert on that topic. You are. Now, however long that takes is beyond me, but you are the subject matter person on that topic. So trust the process and enjoy the journey. Questions. I went 2 minutes over.
if anyone's interested in a question for Dr. Zimmerman or this process he's been talking about how to keep it simple, just type something in the chat and it'll be easier for us to read what you're asking. There is something here, Dan, where it looks like Lynn wrote 600 pages. OMG.
Yeah,
What was 600 pages? Was it the dissertation you said was 600, or you're just saying
it
don't 600?
it was the dissertation that was 600.
Yeah, that's atypical. That's not
Yes,
typical. That's atypical there. I
right.
would say most dissertations, depending on like Dr. Zimmerman was saying, you can do quantitative. Sorry, you can do quantitative or qualitative.
Mhm.
Qualitative ones are going to be longer because you're describing narratives in your field notes. Quantitative ones are just statistics, clean cut. They did a survey, moved on. Those are usually shorter if you're not describing all that. But those on average, I would say is a couple of 100 pages, on standard for a dissertation. I'm not sure about DNP project, but 600 I would think was not usual.
No, and it was. I mean, and that was just an example. That was a
But it's
an
true. Nobody wants
outlier,
to read that
right?
much. Even 200
Right,
is a lot.
right. And who's Aldana? She's like, it's not the number of pages, but the quality of what you write. And and I agree with that 100%. I've read some really, really good dissertations that are like 80 to 95 pages in length, right? They're specific, they're concise, they answer the question, they provide enough relevance, and enough background, and they work, right? I've read some dissertations that are 150 to 200 pages in length, and they weren't good, and they didn't have enough information. So again, it's really about the quality of what is being written. So I definitely agree with that, and hopefully here at Aspen, we're definitely working on the getting you to have that quality, which is why we want you to read these articles ahead of time. We want you to explore ahead of time. We have these residencies for everybody, to attend if you can attend for the DSCS and EDD programs. I know DNP, if there's any DNPs in here, you guys have your own set of residencies. So because it's concerning your project. But I don't want to discourage you from, if you want to come, you can, to our fine, and but a lot of the information I provided, it should be mirrored also in the DNP project.
I think one of your recommendations is truly one of the best pieces of advice that any doctoral student can do, and that is read other dissertations.
Oh God,
I
yeah.
know we want to go read journals, here, go read this author who wrote something in a journal, but that's
Hmm.
not a dissertation. It may be, based on their dissertation, but they're not submitting a 200-page document. They're submitting a
Hmm.
10-page document maybe in this journal, and they had to condense it. And that's not necessarily what you're going to be doing. You will build and
Hmm.
hack and chop and add and do this through the whole process. Probably one of the more frustrating things is having to constantly revise a document that you've already read 20 or 30 times
Hmm.
and feeling like you just don't know what else to add and you don't want to cut because then you're going to have to fill back in, because if you cut, that feels like you're working backwards because it's all about numbers of words, right? But luckily we've clarified that it's not about, as long as you cover all the pieces like Dr. Zimmerman said that are required in the dissertation, then you're right. Why do you want to
Hmm.
ramble on for another 30 or 40
Yep.
pages for stuff that isn't? But
Keep
anyway,
it simple.
another
That's it.
good something I wrote down here that you said, which is stay on the yellow brick road.
Stay on the yellow brick road.
Stay
Absolutely.
focused on what you're supposed to be doing, and don't try to do everything else. But you do have to remember, when you're on that yellow brick road, you have to watch out for those flying monkeys and falling houses.
And trees that throw apples.
And do
That's kind
what?
of a pain too. The trees that throw apples too. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Lions
There's
and
flying monkeys. There's so many things
scarecrow and all that.
that can
Yeah.
get you.
But don't get
And
distracted by the scarecrow and the lion and the tin man, basically, is what Dan is saying. He says, your objective is to get to Oz. Your objective is not to be distracted by everything
yep,
off the road. That's basically
absolutely.
the moral of that story. Okay. Well,
Here, let's see if we got anything else here. I wish I had the DMP. Haven't heard any type of residency. Um, I'm not 100%. They have. I'm not part of the DMP, Ariel. I know that they do some stuff. I'm not 100% sure if it's relevant to or equivalent to what we offer in the other schools, but they know they do have some meetings and some stuff. So if I misstalk, if I said something, I apologize. I don't want to misrepresent the DMP program or the School of Health Sciences. Um, Let me see here. What else do we got? I've read so many DMP projects with so many different headings. It gets confusing. I'm happy that Aspen has a template for us to follow. Absolutely. To be used for my master's. Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's you want to have an annotated bibliography. And again, that can be a completely different topic. I mean, I can go off on a tangent on how important an annotated bibliography is. Um, but that's how you stay organized. And if you have an organized annotated bibliography, with a good 120 to 150 sources on there, you almost have your whole literature review written for you. So, that's awesome. Teresa, you're going to purchase? Awesome. That's a good book. It's a good book. I think it's on Kindle Unlimited for free. So if you have Kindle Unlimited, go ahead and get it. Ask me. Okay. All right. All right. Well, yeah, most of this is DMP stuff, and I can't really talk to it, unfortunately. Um, but
Dr.
does anyone
Zimmerman,
any
before we
questions?
get off, I just want to say thank you for your presentation and for sharing this strategy with all the students. I know maybe at this moment that they aren't totally processing how critical that approach is,
Hmm.
but they're going to get to a step where they're going to think back, or someone in their committee is going to say, you need to make it simpler. Don't
Hmm.
make it so complex. And then this will recall a memory that they had of your presentation.
Hmm.
I was just wanting to say thank you before I turn off the
Thank you.
recording, in case you want to continue to have
Yeah.
conversations.
Yeah. Watch it over and over and over again, guys. I mean, that's all I can say. The exposure is worth millions, right? It's going to save you so much time.
Take care, everybody.